So everything that has an aftermarket price that is ridiculously inflated compared to retail price is all your fault. I don't really mean that. That's kind of an overgeneralization, but I do want to talk about the aftermarket today and why prices may be so ridiculous, what exactly the aftermarket is for clothing and sneakers, and yeah, that's basically today's topic for what I'm going to be talking about. If you don't know who I am, my name is Josh, and it is an absolute pleasure to make videos for you guys. If you're coming back to the channel, I appreciate you so very much, as always. And if you are brand new, I hope you like what you hear, and I hope you consider sticking around by subscribing. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So first and foremost, I want to talk about perceived value. Everything when it comes to like sneakers, clothes, or any other collectible that people might collect, even all the way to stamps, have perceived value, and perceived value is really up to the person that's buying the item. Perceived value is basically what the aftermarket is. It's what makes up the entire economy that is the aftermarket. So a lot of things can contribute to the perceived value of an item, and a lot of those aspects really do play into the whole up and down of what's going on with reselling. So some of the attributes that can actually contribute to this whole perceived value thing are definitely availability, if it's available to purchase really at any time, or is it just a limited release, quantity produced, the ease of actually getting it, which definitely applies to a lot of Japanese branded things, because usually their drops are usually only in Japan, history or affiliation, and then pop culture relevancy. And there are plenty more things that contribute to the perceived value of an item, and I can't possibly cover every single one, but those are kind of, in my eyes, I think, as far as I can tell, the main ones. To brands and boutiques that sell items that end up having resale value, the potential for resale value is actually amazing for them. If you were the owner of a boutique, a store, or any place that sold something that had resale, if you know that there is going to be resale for that particular item, that you want that item because you know for a fact that that will probably sell out and you make your money. Brands and boutiques don't really, well, I mean, sometimes they care, but usually don't really care if you are out to resell. And I know a lot of people have a lot of very strong opinions on reselling and oh, they ruin the culture of clothing and sneakers and whatever, but I get it, but nothing's gonna stop these people from trying to make a quick buck. And as much as you dislike it, they exist. So I think it is something that's completely unavoidable, unfortunately. So why is it an actual good thing to buy clothing pieces that have aftermarket value? It's definitely a very big, I mean, not for me personally, but for a lot of people, it's definitely a really attractive, I guess you could call it, attractive idea to be able to buy something and either profit on it even after wearing it, or buy something for X price and then having the potential to make money afterwards, whether you wear it or not. So the aftermarket is this small economy of items that rise and fall in value, very similar to investing stocks. And in some cases, and some people that I've met in my life, it was kind of their gateway into actually investing in stocks, which is fascinating to me. Items do appreciate and depreciate in value, and the aftermarket is extremely volatile. Did I say that right? It's extremely volatile. So there's really no predicting what goes up, what goes down. Sometimes you can predict them. Usually if it's affiliated with a celebrity like Travis Scott. Yes. The Travis Scott Jordan 1, I just saw a listing up for $1,600, and I was like, oh my gosh. One, that's a lot of money. Two, I don't know when it got that high. But Yeah, no, like sometimes it is predictable and other times it's completely unpredictable. Now, I can't say that I'm all that good at predicting trends or forecasting what the next trend is going to be, what the next very high reselling thing is going to be, but other times it kind of can make a lot of sense. And it really is just very dependent on what that item is. One thing to definitely always remember is that things are only as valuable as they are perceived to be by the consumer. In other words, something is only worth what people are actually willing to pay. So these ridiculous prices that you see that are extremely high, well, they're so high because somebody out there is willing to pay it. My best advice to you, if you want something that garners a lot of hype or a lot of attention that eventually becomes something that has a lot of aftermarket value, is to see the trends over time, see if it goes up or down, and then make the purchase when it is within your current budgeting amount for that item. Definitely never buy out of your budget. Definitely just pass up on the item if it is something that you simply are going to spend too much money on, because a lot of times buying that sneaker, that clothing piece, that whatever is just another piece of clothing. It doesn't really have that monetary value functionality wise. Sometimes it goes outside of realistic expectation. So as I said earlier, the aftermarket has a tendency to be extremely volatile and sometimes completely unpredictable. And some very solid examples of that, a very predictable one was the value of 1985 Jordan 1s. Prior to The Last Dance coming out on Netflix, I'm pretty sure I was looking at the 85s and I really wanted a pair, but I didn't really have the money to drop. I didn't want to drop $1,000 on a shoe that's older than I am. At least at the moment, I didn't have that money. But prior to The Last Dance, they were hovering maybe around a little under $1,000, maybe a little bit over $1,000 depending on the colorway. But after The Last Dance, they effectively jumped really high in price, sometimes doubling or tripling in price. So a really good condition 1985 Chicago 1 will actually nowadays go for almost $3,000. Maybe, I think the last one I saw was like two and a half grand, which is crazy. But again, that really also speaks on the relevance. Since The Last Dance came out, since that nostalgia was triggered by this documentary, yeah, it's a documentary. This documentary that came out, that brought it back into relevance, and people are like, you know what, I really want this now because I was reminded of how much it means to me. A very unpredictable example of something that had aftermarket value but somehow didn't translate over into sustained aftermarket value is the collaboration between Acronym and Nike, where they did the Acronym Prestos. I really like that shoe. I think it looks really cool. I think they're really awesome looking. Wow, that means the same thing. I think they're great shoes. I really actually want a pair. And when they first came out, the first 3 colorways that really had to do with like black, olive, and kind of were mixtures of black and olive pretty much, resold for quite a bit of money. If I'm not mistaken, near $1,000 maybe. I think it climbed up to that much. I'm not entirely sure. But that did really well. And then the next 3 colorways that came out, or well, as that collaboration sustained, the more colorways that came out, the newer colorways were honestly reselling for near retail. And that blows my mind because they're the same exact model of shoe. They're the same exact namesake. They're not even detached from the collaboration. However, the collaboration actually did not do all that well after a sustained period of time. I don't know if it's because of the colors. It probably is. It probably has to do something with the colors that were incorporated later on. But I'm pretty sure the executives of Nike were thinking that if it's the same model, then they should follow the same trends and really garnering that attention that the first couple did. Now, I say that's unpredictable just because as if I were on the marketing team for Nike, I'd be like, yeah, if we release the same exact collaboration just in different colors, it should do just as well. And they did sell out. But the resale market somehow was not very welcoming to the newer ones, the newer colorways. And the very last example that I'm going to be talking about here is going to be the very infamous Raf Simons Riot Bomber. Wow, is that thing expensive. Even before any attention was given to it, ridiculous and crazy. Before all the hype per se, I was looking at what they were at. I never was thinking of buying one because I just don't have that money. But I was seeing that the RAF Riot Bomber was going for anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000. Already ridiculous. But after the popularity that Ken Ijima brought to it, as well as, and more so, Drake wearing it in his music video, those bombers are now anywhere from $40,000 to $50,000 and up. That price is absurd. I can't imagine spending $50,000 on a singular jacket, no matter how influential it is on fashion. Which, that's crazy. Raf didn't even make those bombers. That was a blank. Insane. But somehow the aftermarket is sustaining them at $40,000 to $50,000, which, oh my goodness. And you could also say the same thing about the Chrome Hearts vintage Levi's. Those are going for, I don't know, 10 grand nowadays, and I'm just like, for what? A pair of old vintage Levi's with leather patches of Chrome Hearts? The hype has a very, very, very weird way of working, and the hype really does, in some ways, hike up prices beyond reason. Now, summing this all up, I know I couldn't cover everything, and I could definitely talk for days on this whole topic. However, I'm trying to just kind of condense it as much as I possibly can. The question here, the important question, is, are these things worth your money? And my answer to that is going to be a little, not that satisfying, because it is completely up to you and what you value, as well as its usefulness in your own wardrobe. Me telling you if something is worth your money is kind of impossible for me to do, because I don't think the same way as everybody else. I know I don't think the same way as you do, so if you find you spending whatever amount on whatever piece, if you find it worth it, then it's worth it. It is nice to be able to make some money. It is nice to be able to have something that is seen as desirable from other people. However, if it has intrinsic value to you, if it has some sort of value that you think is justifying the price, then it is worth it. I cannot tell you that something is or isn't worth it. You have to kind of find that reasoning yourself. Wrapping the video up, I am actually extremely interested in what you guys think. So what do you guys think is massively overpriced? And another very interesting question would be, what do you guys think is massively underpriced, if that even exists? So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, my DMs are open to you guys. Let's have a conversation. And with that, like, comment, subscribe, do what you do. I appreciate your time. Thank you guys so much for hearing me ramble on about the aftermarket, in this case. So, yeah, thank you guys. And remember, it's all just clothes. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be this community where we are all friendly. So, with that, thank you so very much. I will catch you guys in the next video. Later.